Hello and welcome to Money Path Training. My name is Pat Rohrbeck from Secure Futures, and this brief video will help you prepare to teach Money Path in the classroom to students. We will review the Facilitator Guide, the student workbook, as well as the application. Let's get started by taking a tour of the Facilitator's Guide. We've created a pre-session preparation outline for you and would recommend that you review these key steps prior to entering the classroom, as it will make sure that you feel confident as you begin to teach the lesson in the classroom. We've also provided you with a session at a glance so you can see what the lesson looks like the day of, beginning with arriving early so that you can greet students as they come into the classroom, kicking off your lesson, getting the students set up in Money Path, and then the actual lesson delivery and work within the app and the debrief using the discussion questions that we've prepared for the students. I'm going to begin by sharing more of the detailed outline of the facilitation guide, and then we will move into the application itself also. So at the beginning, obviously the educator will introduce you and let the students know what they're doing for the next 90 minutes. But it's important obviously for you to introduce yourself and talk about who you are and what you do, as well as why do you volunteer for Secure Futures and why do you think it's important that young adults are prepared from a financial knowledge and a financial capability standpoint as they make this transition from high school to college. And then it's always important to share a couple of ground rules about participation, as well as being respectful and listening when others are speaking. You'll kick the lesson off by having students answer this question on the top left side of the guide here. What does money mean to you? It's a great way to get everyone engaged immediately and have them write their one-word answer down on the back of their name tent and give them about a minute to do that, and then ask for 4 or 5 responses. I always like to have students expand on why they wrote that word down and what it means to them. Once you're done with that activity, it's sort of a nice summary just to let everyone know that money is necessary to support whatever needs they define and goals that they have during their lifetime. And so learning to manage money well will help them be successful in achieving their financial goals. Then you'll review what it is they're going to be doing for the rest of the lesson, which will be actively moving through the application and making choices here about their intentions after high school, and then being able to take a look at the path that they build and what the prospects are for their financial future based on what they've input into the application. It's important to let the students know that it's not their job to just find the highest paying career to try to create the largest pile of money, if you will, or the most extensive financial goals. It's important not to judge. People will have different paths that they want to pursue, and the idea is for them to pursue their interests, but be aware of how that could look financially for them by painting this picture in the Money Path app. Also let them know that they'll have unlimited free access to the app going forward. Then you'll move into account registration over here on the right side, and you can review obviously the instructions here in the guide, but I'm actually going to demonstrate it so that you can see how you build an account in Money Path. So students will have their student workbook and can reference the instructions also for logging in, but have this up on the screen and you can walk them through the process. So they're going to click on Have a Class Code, and then you'll be preparing them or providing them with that class code. It's in the confirmation that you received from Secure Futures. They simply enter it and click on Validate Code, and then they simply enter their information about who they are, what year they're graduating. They'll enter their email address. Also, we recommend they use their personal email so that they can take MoneyPath with them. Give me a moment to get mine in there accurately. And then they will set a password also and confirm it. And then create account. And now they're ready to get started. So click on Get Started, and what you'll do is simply walk them through the first few screens, and I'll show you how I would recommend doing that. So they click on Get Started. Most of the students that you're going to be working with will be in high school, so they should choose high school where they're planning their future. Click on Next. If someone were going to enter the workforce right after high school, they would choose that. Click Next. Be presented with different career options from a sort of interest or category standpoint. Choose one, and then they can see different jobs within that particular area of interest. And then over here they see pertinent information about job training specific to the workforce path, as well as starting, average, and high pay levels, and some examples here of the types of jobs. If they want to go back, they can simply click the back button. Now I'll illustrate college and other degrees because many students will be pursuing that. There are 4 different paths within education. Many will pick for your bachelor's degree. So I'll demonstrate that real quick. One question they have to answer if they do choose bachelor's is, do they plan to start out at a community college first, like one of the UW branch satellite locations, and then transfer to the full institution, or do they just plan to go directly to, for instance, UW Milwaukee? So I'll choose I do not plan to transfer, and then click on Next, and they will then go through that same process of selecting an area of interest and then reviewing jobs and examples of jobs. Notice the I that's here also. Anytime you see this in the application, it means there's more information, and here we provide a little bit of a job description for these particular jobs also. So I'm going to jump back over to the actual student workbook for a moment, and again just reference that the login instructions are in the student workbook, and you will want students to reference that as they are working on setting up their account also. Alright, now back to the facilitator guide. Your job really then, once you get them going on those first few screens, is to tell them that you're going to give them about 15 or 20 minutes to work on their path. And it's important to note that they will be able to save their paths and build new ones and do comparisons also. It's very intuitive when they get to that point. It'll ask them if they want to save it or not. But at this point, let the students work on their own and sort of give them time. I just like to walk around a little bit and sort of observe. Maybe after about 10 minutes, I will ask a few students how they're doing, what they're seeing on that particular screen. You will likely get questions where students will ask you questions during this part of the process also. But at sort of the 15 to 20 minute mark, you're going to want to go through a group illustration of these 3 screens: the paying for school screens, the future monthly budget, and the goal timeline. And what I'm going to do now is go back and just illustrate in the application sort of the bachelor's path, and again they're all very similar, so that you get a good understanding of how someone works through this path and creates a scenario. So I'll just stick with what I've got here, radio and television, film and video editor. And so again, I've got my starting salary here. I'll hit Next. Now it's going to ask me to select a school, and let's say I wanted to go to UW Milwaukee. I can just type in the search bar and it will narrow down the choices, and here's University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. Notice that if someone, for instance, didn't find a college, They could add their own college, do their own research, and put their own cost numbers in. But we'll stick with UWM here. They will choose if they're an in-state or out-of-state student, and as they make those changes, the numbers change. Are they living on campus, off campus, or at home? And also something new here in version 2 of MoneyPath is if they know that they will graduate in less semesters than the standard 8 for a bachelor's degree, they can change it. For instance, if they have AP credits. Or if they, for instance, might take longer because of a double major, they can increase it to 9 or 10 semesters also. But then they're provided with the total expenses for that school. Now they go through and estimate financial aid, and as they click on these various tabs, they will see what the average aid was based on last year's incoming freshmen and what their family income levels were. A lot don't know what their family's income is, so they need to go talk to their parents about it, but I'll use the I don't know option here in this case. If they have a scholarship, they can put the name of that scholarship in, and they can enter the amount and how many years that they will have that scholarship. If there's more than one scholarship, they can click on Add Scholarship. If they're going to be getting assistance from family to go to school, parents, guardians, other important people in their lives, they can enter how much per year they're going to receive. If they have any money that they've saved up already to go to school, they can enter that information also. And what they should do is if they're going to a 4-year school and they know they have $2,000 saved up, we want them to put 2,000 divided by 4 years and enter 1 year's worth of how that'll apply. So $500 in my example. They can then fill out this employment calculator. Employment income can be very powerful in helping pay for school. And we break it down between during school and during the summer. And it will do the math for them on how much they'll make. And then they have to determine how much of that will they put toward school and how much of that will they spend. So in my example here, we've got about $18,000 worth of funding. If they want to edit an amount, they simply can go back and do that. Let's say that they already received their financial aid award. They can go in and enter custom amounts. And I'll just put a few things in here because I now know what I'm going to get specifically, and it will update it. You notice the tab up here at the top. If I don't want to go through these other pieces, I can just click on Summary to get to the summary again. And now we'll compare the total cost of going to school at UWM with the funding that they have available, and you can see that there's a shortfall here of $7,486. That becomes the annual loan amount, and then we multiply that times the number of years that they're in school, calculate their interest, and calculate their monthly student loan payment. Now we click Next, and you'll notice that student loan payment carried right over to their budget. So now we're looking at the future monthly budget, and the paying for school screens that I just went through are really important to demonstrate in that group illustration, as well as is this future monthly budget. So we spread their first budget for them, and we use their monthly income. But then they go in and click on Edit, and they can manipulate any of these expenses except for the student loan, as well as their savings goals. So I'm going to make a couple of changes here and put in that I want to save $250 a month, and let's say I want to save $150 a month for retirement. So I've now created a deficit because I've increased my savings. So now I need to change something. Where am I going to get that money from? So I'm going to decide to live in a little bit of a cheaper apartment and get rid of that deficit that I have. And then once I have that done, I'm going to click Done. And now my budget is updated with my new savings numbers as well as my new expenses. I should note that there's this compare column, and if you hover over the I, it explains what it is. This is the average spending for a 29-year-old single person in the U.S. in these categories. So it's a good barometer for them to sort of compare their costs to that average person. Now for one of the most important pieces of the MoneyPath application. So what we're showing here is my non-retirement savings of $250, and again, you'll want to explain this screen to them also. So every month I'm saving $250, and we've set 4 different goals for them here with dollar amounts, and you can see how long it will take to achieve each one of those goals based on saving the $250 a month. If I want to change one of those goals, I simply click on Edit. I can edit my title. Maybe I want to buy a used Mustang, and let's say I want to have $7,000 toward the down payment on that. I click Save, and now my timeline has automatically updated, and the times themselves will have changed, as you can see here. Now you click Next, and we show them what that $150 a month in retirement savings will do for them, as well as we do put an employer match in there, and then we put a growth rate, a compound growth rate of 7%. If they hover over the red dot, they can actually see the calculated amount and how much over that 40-year period the money would have compounded. So that's a pretty big aha moment for the young people also. And then they click Next, and they are presented with all of their decisions on one screen. They can toggle between monthly and annual expenses over here if they would prefer to look at them annually. And if you click Next, it will ask you if you want to save your path, which I'm going to do in this example. I'm going to say no thanks to the survey. You can have them take it as they get to it, or you can wait until the end, and I'll show you where you can find it up here under user badge, and you can have them all take the survey at the end by clicking here also. While we're here, I'll just share the checklist also. So as they sort of narrow down and make final decisions about their career path, they can check that off. If they know the college that they're going to and they've been accepted, they can check that off. If they know they're actually paying for college, their financial aid numbers, they can also check that off. But they shouldn't do that until they actually have gone back into the app and updated those items. And then I will click Finish. And now you can see that path that I just built here. And it's got a little summary as well as view, or if you want to delete the path. Also, if I want to compare paths, I can go up to the top navigation here, click on Compare. I know I only have one here, but I'll show you what the compare chart looks like. And you get a nice summary of all the main decisions that you've made. So imagine being able to run multiple scenarios and compare them and see how you feel about the paths that you built and help narrow down and make a decision on which one's right for you. If they want to build another one, they simply hit Create New Path. So there's a little tour through MoneyPath, and now I'm going to jump back over to the Facilitator guide, and we just went through the group illustrations here, and again the instructions are here. The students also have reflection questions, and that's up on the top right here, and they're in their student workbook. I'm going to jump ahead to yours, and you can see that we have them in your workbook also. So there's 7 questions. And what we have done is given you an answer guide. Clearly, you'll be able to add your own context to how you would answer these careers, but we wanted to share with you sort of what some of the most important points to make, if the kids are not coming up with these answers themselves. This is a really dynamic part of the process, and just ask kids to share their ideas and be participative here in this part of the session. And you certainly can call on students in the classroom to ask them to answer them also. And then finally, once you are done with that debrief discussion regarding the reflection questions, Again, be sure to show them the checklist in the app if you haven't done that at this point yet. Again, that's their to-do list. And also go back and prompt them to complete the survey. And again, just as a reminder, to get the survey, you can simply go up to your user badge here and click on it and click on Take Survey, and it will populate the survey for you. I should also note that this is where your account settings are. So if you wanted to change any information, like your email or your password, you can do that right here also, and then simply click on Save to do that. So that is your tour of MoneyPath and how to prepare to teach the lesson in the classroom. We very much appreciate what you're doing for the young people in the community that you're working in, and if you're an educator, for the daily work that you do to help these young people make that great transition from high school to whatever it is that they decide to do after high school. And we need people like you involved to help them be successful in the future. So thanks for listening and watching, and be sure to contact us with feedback as well as if you have any questions. Thanks.